Hey everyone, Franco here with Wisdify, and you might already rock formulas, pivot tables, and charts, but chances are there are hidden Excel gems you've never even touched. In this video, these underrated features that will streamline your workflow, improve data accuracy, and make you look like an absolute pro in front of your team are things that we'll be going over today. So are you ready to unlock the next level in your spreadsheet mastery? Let's go treasure hunting. So first off, I actually have a really cool model here, and it's pretty dynamic because I'm using the choose formula. I just have this scenario box here, and I just have to change the number here to suit the case that I'm trying to evaluate, right? So this is actually something that uses the choose formula. And to use that formula, I have to have three different tables just to bring out this function, right? And this might actually take a lot of time if you're not used to doing this. So one thing that I'm going to show you is the scenario manager. The scenario data tab in your toolbar and loaded some scenarios. As you can see, I only have one table here, but surprisingly, I'm going to get rid of the scenario over here. And now you might be wondering, how do you make it dynamic without those other tables? The answer is Scenario Manager. And as you can see, I preloaded some of those scenarios into my worksheet. If I do want to add some or edit them, that's available here. If I edit worst, you can see that I named the scenario and specified J3 and K3 as the cells that would change under the scenario. If I press OK, now I can enter the values for each scenario, right? I can enter the value in cell J3 and cell K3. And once I choose this scenario, I just have to click Show and the numbers change. And of course, these numbers are linked to my income statement here. I still get that dynamic feature even though I don't have to make other tables as well, right? And the cool part is, let's say I want to monitor what my net income for year 5 will be. I can put that over here, right? So net income in year 5, I'm going to link this over here. And a cool thing about the scenario manager is that it has a summary feature. So for the summary feature, what's going to happen is once you click on this, you just have to point out the cell where the results of your scenarios are showing. All right. So for me, I want to monitor net income, and that's what I'm going to specify here. Once I press OK, it's actually going to show you the different net incomes that arise from the changes in your scenarios, right? Under the best scenario, my income in year 5 will be 50,812. Under the base scenario, it's 26,000. And under the worst scenario, it's 13,000. So you can have a comparison just using a few clicks. Isn't that cool? And maybe that doesn't float your boat. So the second feature that I'm going to show you is if I get rid of this, and as you see in the scenario summary, it still stays there. But what if you want to play around with the scenarios here while also monitoring all of the figures in your income statement? So the next feature to do that is actually something we call watch window. So how does watch window work? Well, we open watch window and I'm going to delete all of this. The thing here is for watch window, I just have to highlight all of the cells that I need to monitor, even though I'm at a different part of the worksheet or even in a different worksheet entirely. So if I want to monitor all of these figures from the income statement tab or worksheet, I just add them to my watch window. And what happens is, if I go back to the assumptions tab, I can still monitor the values here. Now, what's the beauty of this function? If I go back to my scenario manager, if I go back to my scenario manager and let's say I change the scenario, I can see in real time how that affects all of the cells I added to my watch window, right? So if I go to base case, for example, I see that the net income changes for D12, E12, F12. What are these, right? You can actually name these cells if you'd like. And if we're going to name these cells, you would have to go into formulas and just define a name for this cell, right? So you could call this year one net income. All right, sorry, I forgot that you're not supposed to have spaces there. So that's year one net income. This is going to be year two net income, and so on and so forth, right? Let's say that I got my year four net income down, and finally my year five net income. So once I go back to my assumptions tab and I start playing around with those scenarios in the scenario manager, I can tell that, okay, under the best case scenario, year two net income is 41,000, year three becomes 45. But if I go into my worst case scenario, I can see that the trend is actually going down from 29, it goes to 19 to 6, and in year five, finally, I have a loss of 13,000, right? So these are some really cool functions here, and I hope that you're liking them so far. I'll add one in that will really blow your mind. The last set of functions that I'm going to show you that you should be using if you're not using already are actually dynamic array functions. So I've been working in accounting for a while now, and a lot of my office mates don't really talk about this. You know, they feel like it's just a weird set of formulas that you don't really need. But using dynamic array formulas, and we'll talk about three, we have unique, we have filter, we have sort. And using these three formulas can actually change the way that you work, because if you're looking at my screen right now, I actually have a drop down list here and another drop down list below it. See? So this drop down list has jacket, t-shirt, backpack, and hat. Wait, why is it saying pens, even though it's not part of my data validation list? Now the thing here is, once I change the value in my first drop-down list, my second drop-down list will change entirely. It's dynamic. And if you're looking at the table to the right of it, every time that I change the product, it's showing me data for each specific product. See, so this is dynamic and it is really easy to use. And you might be wondering, how do we do that? So we're actually using three formulas here. We're using the unique tool, which will give you back all of the unique values in a certain array that you specify. We have the filter tool, which will filter data based on specific criteria. And we have the sort tool. Basically, the sort tool simply sorts the items in your array based on whether you want them in ascending or descending order. I actually have that drop down list hidden over here, and it's using the unique function to bring back all of the items in this table. There's a lot of data here, but when you use the unique function, there we go. We can go to products, and once I use that, we can see that there are only actually 4 products, right? And if I want to, I can wrap that in a sort function. So sort, and I'll go to the end of this, add a parentheses, and there you go. My items are sorted, right? And what I can do here is I can use another unique formula to get all of the products, and there are substantially more of them, right? But how do I make it so that what appears here is only related to the product category that I want to specify, right? So let's say that I want to make a drop-down list based off of this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data validation, and I'm going to use list, And then I'm going to specify this cell where my formula is, and I'm just going to add a pound sign or a hashtag if you want to call it that. And it's actually going to show up here, right? So my unique formula is something that brings me all of this data, but if I only want to filter it based again off of the value in P, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a filter tool. All right. So the syntax for this is actually you start with the unique and you're going to use the filter tool as your array. Of course, you have to specify the product name, and we want to include only the items where the product category is equal to the value in cell P3. All right, and let's lock that in. Okay, so there you have it. Now, if I change my product category, the items in my filter formula change as well. Now, what happens if I don't add the unique formula here? It's actually going to be a lot messier because now it just brings me all of the items in this table, even if they repeat. To avoid that, I'm going to wrap this in the unique formula. And have a great day.